Welcome, friends. This is part 2 of the misconduct of drunkenness. Well, in the part 1, we have seen as to what is drunkenness, whether it's a misconduct, what are the types of drunkards. Well, friends, at the cost of repetition, I would again like to make a mention. We also saw a case, and now I'm going to tell you a few more cases. The first one, friends, is Solapur Borough Municipality versus MB Jadhav. Now, here there was a driver and who was drunk. Drinking and driving is a separate topic of a PhD in this country. I mean, there are so many drivers. I will not, of course, paint everybody with the same brush. But then there are so many drivers who drink while on duty. Now you see a peon who is drinking while on duty and a driver who is drinking while on duty. Can we equate both of them on the same plane? Or are they different? Well, the misconduct remains the same, that both are drunk. But the effect of a peon who is drunk and effect of a driver who is drunk, I mean, they are different effects. If a driver is drunk, then the effects can be devastating because when there is a driver, there is somebody who is sitting behind who is to be driven somewhere. And the driver could be of a bus or whatever, but a driver remains a driver. And if at all, he is riding a bus, then the things are all more complicated because there are 65 innocent passengers who are sitting behind. And their lives are at stake because of this driver who is drunk. So drivers and drinking are taken very, very seriously. If a driver is found drinking, and then with all the norms of how we prove drinking, if he is found, then dismissal is the only answer. And many a times it so happens that say these bus undertakings, in Maharashtra it is MSRTC, in all other, every state they have a state undertaking, which is a bus undertaking. And the drivers, of course, again I'll repeat, I'm not saying all drivers are drunk. The question is, if at all a driver is drunk, and then the bus meets with an accident, it just tumbles down into some valley. So many innocent passengers die a very sad death. And then what about the driver? Sometimes the driver also has the same fate, that is, he also dies in the process, and then there is no body left to be punished. Remember, in India, who can be punished? To punish a person, there must be a person living in flesh and blood. When a person meets his death, there is no person living. It's a corpse, it's a dead body. So you cannot punish it. But then it can also so happen that while the bus is tumbling down, which it has happened in a number of cases, that the driver jumped off from the bus and ran in the jungle. And he was fully drunk. And he was not to be found. And he was found, or he surrendered after a span of 3 days. In the meantime, he's turned sober. Whatever was that intoxication has come down. And he himself sometimes goes to the police station or to the management and informs them that I was never drunk. Then why did you run away? He says that because I was frightened. I was not in a good mood, or any defense people give. But the question here is, how do you prove that he is drunk? Some swear on this God and this one and that one and says, I have not touched liquor in my life. Here, the problem is, how do you prove that he was drunk? And that is why, things get difficult. But the final answer in all the judgments is very, very clear that if a driver is found and it's proved to be drunk, then dismissal will be the only answer as per a number of judgments. Now, friends, there's another case we are going to see: Central India Coalfields versus Ram Vilas Shobnath. Now, here what happened is, the workman, he created ruckus in the workers' colony. Some big companies, public undertakings. So they have their own colonies where the workers stay, and an accommodation is given. And from the colony, he comes to the factory, works, again goes back to the colony. And his behavior is expected to be good, not only on the premises of the work, but also in the colony. And a question came up that if at all he drinks and he is intoxicated and he creates a ruckus in the colony, Duty hours are over. He goes home. In the evening, he creates a ruckus there, abuses his neighbors. It's a headache for everybody. Gives bad words, this, that. I mean, we have seen so many types of such people. What if he does it again and again? Then people complain to the management. Question is whether drinking in the colony is drinking at the place of work, and the answer is a yes. This has already been settled. Now, whether his drinking is compatible with the due discharge of his duty? Well, this question itself is very funny. How can drinking be compatible with the due discharge of his duty is itself a question. And this, of course, will depend on each and every case. Only a person, those people who taste in tea industries or coffee industries, you have people who taste the coffee, or tea is to be tasted. So he tastes the tea, keeps it in his mouth, and then spits it away. I mean, barring this, such a person, in liquor industries also people are required just to have a glimpse of the taste. And then in such people, drinking is pardoned because that would be a discharge of his duty. In all other cases, if you are drunk while on duty and it is proved, underline the word proved, and if at all it is proved, then dismissal will be the only answer. People create ruckus, people abuse neighbors, and this goes on every day, every day. A good neighbor is supposed to be a luxury. And what kind of a neighbor I am having? He is drunk, he cannot control himself. With nightfall, he has to drink one or two pegs. Sometimes it's that desi liquor and I mean, what not stuff you get in the market. Why should I be staying with this sort of a person? And that is why a ruckus in the colony is also construed as a misconduct. Then, friends, we come to another case, that is Ram Koteshwar Rao versus General Manager APSRTC, that is Andhra Pradesh State Road Transport Corporation. As I did make a mention that we have in Maharashtra MSRTC, that is Maharashtra State Road Transport Corporation. Likewise, every state has its road transport corporation. Now, here what happened, one worker in a drunken state went to the residence of the manager and started abusing him. Now, well, friends, first of all, this is insubordination. But we transgress that for a moment. We come further, going to the residence of the manager, abusing him. His wife is there, his children are there, possibly neighbors are there. He is a respectable man in the society. Whatever are your grievances, there is a mechanism for grievance redressal. So you can pursue that mechanism. Instead of that, he is going to the residence of the manager. And mind well, friends, one more thing. I will not say of a single worker, but for unions, there is an unfair labor practice which is enshrined in Schedule 3 of the Maharashtra Recognition of Trade Unions and Prevention of Unfair Labor Practices Act 1971. Taking, I mean, a collection of workers, it's for unions, I'm saying, going to the residence of the employer, staging a morcha or some abusive, hurling abusive words and all of those. Even this, I mean, we take a cue from this, and then a single worker going to the residence of the manager. What business you have to go to the residence of the manager? Why? And that too in a drunken state. Then you go and abuse. In this Koteshwar Rao's case, the Honorable High Court held that in such a case, he will be dismissed. Dismissal is the only answer. Friends, we come to the next case. That is Northwest Karnataka Road Transport Corporation versus SL Hosur. Now here you see almost again the same thing. Driver and drinking while on duty. And here the Honorable Court said that the lives and the safety of the passengers, whose duty it is, it's the duty of the driver. They depend on you, and it is expected out of you that you have to be sober. Otherwise, you are endangering the life of all the innocent public who is sitting. Did they, I mean, can you say this way that the only mistake which these innocent people have done and this public has done is that they come and sit in your bus? You are supposed to be sober and you are drunk while on duty, and then a lenient view should be taken. So the court said that we cannot encourage such sort of a behavior. Everybody is to be sober while driving. Drinking while on duty will not be tolerated. And a very stern view was taken by the honorable courts. wherein court said that such a leniency will not be granted and mercy will have no relevance in such sort of cases. Yes, friends. Now we come to the next case, possibly the last, that is Baby John versus General Manager Parvati Mills. Now, in this case, what happened is the worker came in the office with a drunken state. Now, you know the office atmosphere. There are tables everywhere. Possibly cupboards are there. Files have to be kept. Computers are there nowadays. And this worker, in a drunken state, he came in one of the offices and his manager was in front of him. In a rage of fury, what he did is he pushed the cupboard. Now, the cupboard was about to fall on the manager, and had it been fallen on the manager, then what would have happened is that the manager would have died. It would have been a fatal case. Of course, this was averted because of the some other clerks and whoever was sitting, they held the cupboard. And the cupboard did not fall on the manager, otherwise it would have been a fatal case. And here the matter traveled up to the courts, and ultimately court said that this, besides insubordination, this cannot be tolerated. First is you are drunk while on duty, then you come to the office, then you indulge into this some sort of a violent behavior wherein you push the cupboard. Cupboard is filled with files and books and whatnot things, and ultimately this goes is to and files falls on the manager. Had it, I mean, should we wait for him to die? No. Had it fallen on the manager, he would have died. And then the testimony of all the people in the office, it was already there. And ultimately, this worker was dismissed. So, friends, we come to the conclusion of the second part of the video, wherein drinking on duty is considered as a very, very serious misconduct. It finds a place in the standing orders also, so we cannot have employees, workers who are drunk while on duty. Well, friends, in our journey to gather knowledge, to spread knowledge, this was part 2 as far as drunkenness is concerned. In the next video, we are going to come up with some other topic, some other misconduct, and our journey in imparting knowledge would continue. Thank you, friends.